And that brings on Craig Krenzel. Last week, 10 of 28, 116 yards, 2 interceptions. However, he's the first Bears rookie to go 3-0 since Virgil Carter in 1968. Kreutz is the special player up front, a Pro Bowler. And back in the backfield, Thomas Jones missed 3 games because of a toe injury. And he's their leading rusher. First down and 10 at the 32. Krenzel out of the backfield. And this ball is caught out of bounds. Thomas Jones out of bounds at about the 32-yard line. David Thornton there to make the tackle. The Colts defense returned a fumble and an interception back for touchdowns last week against Houston. Freeney has 6 sacks to lead him up front. The linebackers, Cato June leads the team in tackles with 83 on the season. And in the secondary, Bob Sanders gets the start today at strong safety. A 1-yard pickup on the last play. Second down and 9 for the Bears. At the 33, Krenzel over the middle. That ball thrown behind his intended receiver, Bernard Berrien, the rookie out of Fresno State. And what should we pay attention to, BJ, when the Bears have the football?
Well, one of the most important things, Gus, today for the Bears, Craig Krenzel is going to have to make some plays in the passing game. We know the Bears want to chew clock and control it, but they've got to make some plays downfield. For the Colts, they've got to stop that interior run game. You're going to see Thomas Jones, you're going to see Anthony Thomas, and that's one of the strengths of the Bears, running the ball.
Third down and 9 at the 33-yard line. Thomas Jones remains in the backfield. Krenzel stepping up, fires to Jones out of the backfield. And Jones, making people miss, gets to the 40-yard line. A 7-yard gain, but he's short of the first down. Joseph Jefferson makes the tackle. Comes the hottest player in the National Football League, Peyton Manning, last week in their 49-14 win over Houston. 18 of 27, 320 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's thrown 14 touchdowns in his last 3 games. And this offensive line has done a terrific job protecting him, giving up only 6 sacks this year. Saturday is the leader up front. The backs and receivers, Reggie Wayne, what a breakout season. 41 catches, 7 touchdowns, averaging 16 yards per reception. What a compliment to the great Marvin Harrison. First down and 10 at the 27. Manning starting out of the shotgun. Bears showing blitz. They fake the handoff, and this one thrown up in the air. Marcus Pollard, and Pollard is dropped at the 32. Mike Green with the tackle, and it's a 5-yard gain. Defensively for the Chicago Bears, Brown is having such a great season. Had 4 sacks in 1 game versus the Giants, 6 overall this season. The linebackers, Brian Urlacher is out of the lineup. Hillenmeyer will start in the middle in place of him. Second and 5 at the 32. Edgerrin James tiptoeing through the hole, and the edge gets to the 40, and the Colts pick up a first down. Let's take a look at the Chicago secondary. R.W. McQuarters, Lovie Smith said he's terrific on special teams, but he needs to step up and make some plays in the secondary as well. First down and 10 at the 40-yard line for Indianapolis. Edgerrin James, the lone setback. Here's James over the right side with running room. James gets all the way to midfield. A nice block on the play by Jeff Saturday, picks up 10. Edgerrin James on the season. He's healthy once again, Brent, averaging 4.5 yards per carry, and is closing in on 1,000 yards.
Yeah, and guess one of the interesting things that Lovie Smith and the Bears told us is they're going to try to stop the pass first. That's how you can get gashed against this Colts offense, and so we've seen James pick up some decent yardage the first couple plays of the game.
This is the 201st carry of the season for Edgerrin James, and he picks up about 6.5. And when the Colts have the football, Brent, what should we pay attention to?
Well, I think one of the keys when you're rolling and you're just making plays all over the place, the keys for the Colts today, they can't have any penalties or any turnovers, and nothing's been able to stop them, not even kryptonite at this point. And you see Chicago, they've got to stop the run. No, wait a second, you got to stop the pass. I'd force the Colts to run the ball, see if they're patient enough to keep Edgerrin James getting the ball 30, 35 times today.
Here's Edgerrin James. He gets inside the 40-yard line, down to the 38, a 5-yard pickup. Hunter Hillenmeyer makes the tackle.
And when was the last time you saw the Colts run the ball that many times in a row? And the Bears defense clearly is focusing with that two deep coverage on stopping the pass first, and they're going to make the Colts be patient, chew clock, and hand the ball to Edgerrin James.
First down and 10 at the 39. Play action. Manning over the middle. Reggie Wayne with the catch, dives forward, gets inside the 25. Lance Briggs with the tackle, but it's a 14-yard pickup. And the Colts are wasting no time getting down the field.
And what an amazing transformation. Reggie Wayne has become a top-line receiver in the National Football League and had a big year last year, but is having a phenomenal year this year. And he is a #1 receiver. It's not just Marvin Harrison anymore. It's Marvin and Reggie.
First down and 10 at the 25. James around the right side, stays in bounds, stood up and taken down at the 23. R.W. McQuarters, the cornerback, stepping up and making the play.
Boy, and the first run stuff by the Bears, and clearly Gus missing Brian Urlacher today, out with that leg injury, and clearly the emotional leader of this Bears defense. We're going to need more stops from the Bears defense like that versus the run. This defensive line has done a phenomenal job getting to the quarterback this year. They're going to have to tighten up versus the run, though, if they're going to continue today.
Second and 6 at the 21. Manning out of the shotgun. The #1 passing offense in the NFL. Over the middle, and it's broken up. Manning trying to thread the needle. And standing on the play, Todd Johnson, the second-year man out of Florida. He threw that one in maybe quadruple coverage.
And Gus, one of the things that you're going to have to watch versus this two deep coverage is you got to watch the safeties. Do they stay true? And you see the impact right there by the Bears safety, Todd Johnson, and you called it, partner. That is exactly what they have to do. They have to stay tight. They can't give up that seam, whether it's to Marvin Harrison or Brandon Stokely. Usually Brandon Stokely is the guy that gets lost in the shuffle.
Third down and 6 at the 21. Fans rise to their feet here at Soldier Field. Big play for the Chicago defense. Manning looking underneath. It's caught. Brandon Stokely picks up the first down inside the 15, and we should definitely keep an eye on Brandon Stokely.
Well, everybody knows about Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne. Brandon Stokely, though, Gus, like we mentioned, is a guy that gets lost in the shuffle. Has the ability to make the big play, a precise route runner, very quick. He can get down the middle of the seam against that two deep coverage. That's where he's most dangerous, having a huge year for the Colts this year.
The Colts have 34 red zone trips, 26 touchdowns. Here's Manning underneath. Touchdown, Marcus Pollard. Make it 27 touchdowns. 14-yard touchdown, Manning to Pollard. And just like that, the Colts are on the board.
He's going to be involved in the red zone. Big touchdown catch already.
Jerry Azuma back deep, starts from the 5. Azuma with the head of steam, and Jerry is tackled at the 30. The 23 make it. Bob Sanders on special teams after an 18-yard return. Bears start first down and 10 at their own 23. Bobby Wade in motion. Here's the pitch. Thomas Jones over the right side, cuts it back with the lane, and he gets to the 26-yard line. Pickup of 3. Second down and 2 at the 31. Here's Thomas Jones following his block. Gets down maybe a half-yard short of the first down. Bob Sanders, the rookie safety out of Iowa, coming up and making the play.
Gus, and it's so important for this Bears offense to move the chains. They've got to convert, especially on third downs. 23% on third down conversions coming into this game. That is as bad as it gets in the National Football League. So important. Got to keep that clock rolling. Got to keep the Colts offense off the field.
In the last 3 games, the Bears are 7 of 47 on third down conversions, 15%. And I don't think they got that one. Krenzel on the quarterback sneak. We'll see.
At least it looks like from here they didn't necessarily give Craig Krenzel a great mark.
Has 5 career 5-touchdown games, 3 of them coming this season. Dan Marino has the NFL record with 6 in his career. First down and 10 at the 30-yard line for Indy. Edgerrin James breaks it back with running room, and Edgerrin James gets to the 35. Tommy Harris makes the tackle, but the edge picks up 5.
I guess we've seen the Edge continue to run the ball here early in the game, and I think that's a positive sign for the Indy offense. And then once that happens, all of a sudden people start cheating up for the run, and you can get gashed with the pass. And that's what the Colts have been doing all year. And I'm telling you, Tom Moore is the most underrated offensive coordinator in all of football. Without a doubt. Flies under the radar. Not a big PR guy. He's been phenomenal.
Manning underneath, but no! Lance Briggs! Oh, and that's one that will haunt Lance Briggs.
And Gus, you rarely see Peyton Manning just step back and make this throw, and that's exactly what the Bears have done this year. That is a touchdown all the way down the field. Lance Briggs in his hands, and that has been the opportunistic Chicago Bears, and man, you would love to have that one back, because you're not going to get a whole lot of those chances when you're playing Peyton Manning.
That was certainly 6. 3rd and 5. Manning out of the gun. Manning to the sideline, incomplete. Bears getting a good pass rush. Let's take one more look at Lance Briggs' almost.
And you can see there's nobody out here. And there is a touchdown. Lance Briggs maybe looking at that end line before looking that ball in, and this guy has made big plays this year for this Bears defense. Had 14 tackles last week.
They are in a great position in their division. 1st down and 10 at the 27. Krenzel stepping up in the pocket to the sideline, and that is a catch. David Terrell with his 24th catch on the year, a gain of 11. So let's take a look at the AFC South. Indianapolis and Jacksonville are currently tied. Jacksonville at home today against Tennessee.
When we just saw David Terrell, Gus, go up and make that last grab, drop 3 balls last week. Those are the plays that you need from your big wide receiver if they're going to have a chance today.
Jones with all kinds of running room gets to the 45, a 6-yard pickup. Tackled by Drees Bashir. And now the Bears starting to find a little success moving the football. Greg Krenzel kind of reminds me of Jake Delhomme from last year.
Yeah, he clearly right now he's been managing the offense, and as you saw last year, as Jake Delhomme got more experience, they gave him more opportunities to play in the passing game. Craig Krenzel looking pretty confident right now.
Here's the pitch to Jones over the right side with running room. Jones breaks it back. Jones at the 40. A 15-yard pickup for Thomas Jones. Joseph Jefferson makes the tackle, but it's a 1st down for Chicago.
And just a quick toss. Let's watch the right tackle. Big John Tate come out, seals off, just follow him, gets the block right there, and you see Thomas Jones sees it, cuts back inside. And Thomas Jones, Gus, looking good. Coming off that turf toe injury, it's looking explosive. I've been watching him in warm-ups, watching him out on the field, making those hard plants, and loves to cut that ball back.
4 carries, 25 yards for Jones. 1st and 10 at the 40. Here's Jones on the pitch. Free play for the Bears. And Jones gets to the 38-yard line before being chopped down by Bob Sanders. Should be offside against Indianapolis.
And that's the 2nd time Craig Krenzel today has worked offside. That hard count.
Defense number 93. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
What about Craig Krenzel?
Well, he's in a guy, Gus, that we're going to have to keep an eye on today. And it's not just managing the game. He's going to have to make some plays in the pass game. We saw him make that big throw here a few minutes ago to David Terrell. Those are the things that's going to happen for this young quarterback. A lot off of play action, but he played at Ohio State, won a national championship. Clearly, he's been in pressure situations before. Coach Lovie Smith told us he had by far his best week of practice, so he's looking for a big game from Craig Krenzel today.
Krenzel setting up in the pocket, going up top. Terrell is there, and it's picked off in the end zone. Make it knocked down. Sanders had 2 hands on it. And Terrell was the intended receiver.
And Bob Sanders always near the ball. Now Craig Krenzel throws it up. David Terrell stays outside. He's got to come adjust back to that ball. But you see the effort by David Terrell breaking up the play. You know, you got to give a guy credit like that. A lot of wide receivers just give up, put a hand out. David Terrell putting a lift on Bob Sanders, knocked the ball out.
2nd down and 5. Thomas Jones looking. And he picks up 2.5. Gets to the 32. Wayne Bacon coming up with the tackle.
And Gus, these are such important situations for the Chicago Bears offense. 3rd and 2. That is a makeable 3rd down. You've got to convert. Now, whether it's toss or whether it's play action, you have an opportunity. And this is the situations that the Bears want their young quarterback to be in. You don't want to be in 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 10. These are makeable 3rd downs.
They're 7 for their last 49 on 3rd down conversions, 14%. 3rd down and 2. Jones bottled up and taken down at the 35. David Thornton making the tackle. It's a loss of 2. Paul Ettinger, his career-long 54 against Denver last year. Down, up, looks straight enough, and it's long enough. A good confidence builder for the Bears. 7-3.
Boy, and gutsy call to even kick that field goal, Gus, because you give the Colts the ball at the 42-yard line. If you miss it and you do make it, you get a lot of momentum out of it.
This one coming right into your living room. Dominic Rhodes to the 30, fumble, loose. Check. And it looks like Indianapolis will hold on. Adrian Peterson forcing the fumble. 1st and 10 at the 29. Manning looking downfield. Reggie Wayne on the comeback, out of bounds. 1st down. Reggie Wayne in front of Jerry Azuma. A gain of 14.
Boy, and you talk about timing routes. And we were talking to Peyton. He said this is truly a timing offense. And just playing all those years in the 49ers system, Gus, it is so hard to complete those comebacks and throw it when the receiver hasn't even come out of his break. Reggie Wayne running a phenomenal route, but Peyton Manning just putting it right on the money.
1st and 10 at the 43. They handed off Edgerrin James, and he stood up and taken down in the hole. Lance Briggs, only a 2-yard pickup. Log on to NFL.com and vote for the 2005 Pro Bowl teams. Your vote counts. Vote today only at NFL.com or NFL on AOL. 2nd down and 8 at the 45. Here's James. And Edgerrin James bounces it outside and is ridden out of bounds at the 48. Welcome back. 1st down and 10 at the 47. Start of the 2nd quarter. Indianapolis with the lead and the football. Peyton Manning, play action, looking downfield. And he throws this one over the middle, and it's broken up. Jerry Azuma right in the hip pocket of Brandon Stokely. Terrific job by Jerry Azuma.
And Lovie Smith said that Jerry Azuma is one of the most explosive players he's been around. Played some running back in college. Significant speed by Jerry. You see him get to that play and break it up. And one of the things you have to be aware of when you play the Colts, Gus, is a lot of times going with that no-huddle offense.
Here's the handoff to James. Breaks it back. Edgerrin tiptoeing down the sideline and picks up a 1st down. That's vintage. Edgerrin James, a gain of 12. Now let's go to New York for Greg Gumbel and an NFL update.
All right, Gus, the Denver Broncos off to a great start in New Orleans. Ruben Drones went 51 yards for a touchdown, and then Jake Plummer hit Ashley Lalee here, 37 yards. They've added 2 field goals. They're still in the 1st quarter. It's a 20-0 Broncos lead, guys.
All right, Greg, 1st down and 10 at the 35 now. The Bears are doing a sensational job of slowing down this Indianapolis offense. Manning, double move up top. Reggie Wayne with a step touchdown.
Wow. Well, they slowed him up for a couple plays.
I spoke a little too soon.
Yes, you did.
And he's now becoming one of the lead players on this team. This kick is short, takes a bounce, picked up by Azuma. And Jerry Azuma crosses the 30, gets to the 34. Ball is loose after a 14-yard return. Looks like that's the center, Cruz, the three-time Pro Bowler, making his 32nd start.
And Gus, if you're the Bears right now, you still have to stick with the run game. Stick with the run game, chew the clock. Now you're getting dangerously close to this game getting a little bit out of control, but right now, stick with your strength. You're not at a point where you have to throw the ball yet.
That ball thrown underneath. Bobby Wade with the catch, fumbles the football, picked up by Indianapolis. Cato Jude. And the Colts force their first turnover of the game. And usually Peyton Manning goes for the dagger right after turnovers. 1st and 10 at the 29. Manning down the seam, incomplete. And Dallas Clark, the intended receiver. Now let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York for an NFL update.
All right, Gus, at Cincinnati, this will stand as one of the better catches of the day. From 36 yards out, Carson Palmer, Chad Johnson wins the battle for the football and rolls into the end zone over Deshae Townsend. It's a 7-3 Bengals lead, second quarter, guys.
All right, Greg, and you have to like Chad's passion. A few weeks back, he was literally in tears on the sideline because he wasn't getting the football.
You gotta love it. It beats complaining, right? Crying. Oh, that'll help you.
1st down and 10 at the 24 for Manning and the Colts after the Bobby Wade fumble. Edgerrin James. And James lowers his shoulder, gets inside the 20, down at the 19. Coming up on the Nextel halftime report, join Greg, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Nextel halftime report.
These guys are having a great time there in the studio and continuing to dominate.
I'm impressed.
Week 11.
I certainly am impressed with Shannon. He's getting better and better every week.
What about Dan and Boomer?
Dan's good.
Oh, don't say that about Boomer.
2nd and 5 at the 19.
And we know Greg is the greatest, so there's not even, we don't even have to, I mean, he's like Marvin Harrison. You don't even need to talk about him.
Edgerrin James again, and James goes down inside the 15. Lance Briggs with the tackle, and I thought Peyton Manning was so interesting yesterday when we spoke with him because he told us that Edgerrin James is the best athlete that he's ever been around. And he's finally healthy, and he's running the ball well, and he's having a quiet, spectacular season.
Yes, he is. And some of the things that Edge brings to the game are things that you don't usually see. Just the fact that he's back in 100%, that play-action game is the difference with the Colts' success this year. Backers and safeties are respecting Edgerrin James at 100% much more than these last couple years when he was a little banged up.
11 carries, 65 yards for James. Pump fake. Over the middle, Dallas Clark, incomplete, no flag on the play. Clark looked like he was tripped inadvertently.
And that, you know, that was the key. It was inadvertent. I think legs got tangled up, and you see once again that two-deep coverage we talked about before long. You're going to see Dallas Clark. There he is getting off the line of scrimmage. Peyton Manning rolling back and seeing that seam. And you see Clark just getting his legs tangled up. And huge series, Gus, right now for this Bears defense. They've got to hold the Colts to a field goal because a touchdown would start putting it out of reach.
2nd and 10 at the 14. James on the drop play, and James is taken down. Lance Briggs just having a sensational season. He's the #1 tackler on this team. Had 15 last week, a career high, a loss of 2.
And let's watch Lance Briggs get in there in the run blitz. You see him coming right through the hole. Bang. Reads run, gets right back in. Great job on the draw. The thing that makes you nervous is if Peyton Manning pulls that ball out and it's play action. But this is how you stop the Colts offense. Penetration and pressure on Manning and very physical outside. Easier said than done. Nobody's done it yet this year other than the Pats. Did very well.
3rd and 12 at the 16. Manning pump fake, looking in the end zone for Wayne. Incomplete, no flags. So the Chicago Bear defense holds. And here comes the field goal unit for the Colts. And Indy leads it 17-3. So the Colts send it away. Jerry Azuma camps under it. He starts from the 8. Azuma trying to get outside and goes forward, tumbles forward and gets to the 26, an 18-yard return. Corey Bird with the tackle on special teams. First down and 10 at the 26. They hand it off to Thomas Jones, running outside. Nowhere to go. He may have lost a yard on the play.
It was spectacular. I think I might go back before I go home.
2nd and 16 at the 20-yard line. As you take a look at the penalties, 5 for the Bears. Krenzel handing it off. Once again, it's Jones. And Jones, not a lot of room. Picks up 2. There are 2 undefeated rookie quarterbacks this season, and we're watching one of them play right now.
And clearly Craig Krenzel hopefully growing on a week-to-week basis. And you see the quarterback rating a little bit low. And one thing he's done well today, Gus, he's managed himself pretty well. Hasn't been involved specifically in turnovers. You know, and clearly we said he's going to have to make some plays in the pass game. But right now, on 3rd down, you're going to have to. But I still think more Thomas Jones and keep pounding at this Colts defense.
3rd down and 14. Krenzel under pressure, and he's sacked. Rager, first sack of the day for the Colts. 26 for the Colts. Edgerrin James, the single setback. Peyton Manning calling the play at the line of scrimmage. Manning hands it off to Edgerrin James. He spins out of trouble with running room. Sidesteps one man, spins again. Edgerrin James, a whirling dervish. Edgerrin James down inside the 40-yard line. And that's the Edgerrin James of old, a gain of 35. Joe Odom stops him.
Boy, and watch this spin move initially right here into the hole, and the acceleration after he spins. He does this a couple times. Look at these moves. Now that is the difference between Edgerrin James 100% and Edgerrin James 85%. He could still make that spin move, but the acceleration out of the spin and to be able to keep getting downfield is the difference.
13 carries, 98 yards for the edge. 1st and 10. James again. Make that Rhodes. Dominic Rhodes in the game. Spelling Edgerrin James, number 33. And look at the first 5 games compared to the last 4. The Colts rushing this season.
Yeah, and you see no touchdowns the last 4 games. They've been lighting it up in the air. They haven't needed to run the ball in. One of the things Peyton Manning told us is in a lot of our drives this year, we haven't even had a lot of 3rd downs. They've been converting on 1st or 2nd down, moving the chains and getting big plays out of their wideouts.
2nd down and 9 at the 38. Play action, Manning in the pocket, underneath. Oh, that one right off the face mask of Marvin Harrison. You don't see that often, so I would suspect he may have lost that one in the sun. There's a glare on the far side of the field.
And, you know, the other thing, Gus, not only that is at this point in the game, Marvin Harrison hasn't gotten any balls. And so to have one I think it just kind of caught him off guard. He's not into the flow at this point. 7 minutes left here in the 2nd quarter. And when was the last time you saw that?
Marvin Harrison has gone 132 consecutive games with at least 1 catch. 3rd down and 9 at the 38. Manning looking underneath, incomplete. So a nice defensive stand by the Bears.
A couple people asked him if he wanted Peyton Manning to break his record. And he said, no. Gotta love that. Gotta love honesty, huh?
Yeah, you certainly do. Jones running the football. As a matter of fact, you have a record that's getting ready to be broken probably this week in San Francisco.
I don't have, it's not a record, it's a team. That stuff's cheesy.
Your team record of tight end receptions is going to be broken.
Nobody cares.
You do.
Even I don't care.
Okay. Manning on the sideline. continuing to study.
Yep, getting those little shots down, looking at coverage from up top, seeing what's going on in the field. 2nd and 8 at the 13.
And the ball is fumbled. Looks like it's picked up by the Colts. Wow.
Boy, and you know what? I'm not sure if that was a play action fake or if the running back was supposed to take the handoff from Craig Krenzel. We talked about Craig thus far not turning it over.
1st down and 10 at the 13. 2 turnovers for Chicago. Both fumbles. Bobby Wade and now Krenzel. Manning. Dallas Clark with the catch, and he's ridden out of bounds. Mike Green stops him. 15th reception of the season for Clark in his 2nd year out of Iowa. Take a look at this regular speed.
Wow. You hear the pads popping down there. Mike Green getting a nice shot on Dallas Clark.
2nd down and 7 at the 10. Manning out of the shotgun. Manning underneath, touchdown. Marvin Harrison, his 8th receiving touchdown of the year.
Fencing Peyton Manning, you cannot look him in the eyes because he'll look you off and fake you out every time.
Jerry Azuma inside the 5. And Jerry Azuma goes down at the 25.
Now what? Let's watch Peyton's eyes, and you're going to see after this what happens. See him looking to his left side of the field. Wait till you see what that does to Mike Green, the safety. Now we're going to know why Marvin Harrison is so wide open. Here's Mike Green. Watch his reaction. You see him slide inside 2 steps. Well, you can't give Marvin Harrison and Peyton Manning those 2 steps. And that's why they are so flawless. It's the little things like Peyton looking off a safety. And if you're a safety, like I said, you cannot watch Peyton Manning's eyes.
Krenzel
in trouble.
Almost fumbled the ball again. Another sack. This time it's Dwight Freeney. 2nd sack of the day. Freeney now with 7 sacks on the season.
Boy, we've been talking about Dwight Freeney for a couple years. Explosive, spectacular speed coming off that defensive end position. 6'1". He's already got leverage. It's tough when you're trying to block him because he's already low. And he is an impact player for this Indianapolis Colts defense. They have another guy as well this year, Robert Mathis, that's actually kind of the Dwight Freeney on the other side of the defense.
Draw play, Thomas Jones. And Jones gets to the 20-yard line. Jim Nelson with the tackle, a gain of 5. And Peyton Manning's little brother Eli is getting his first start today in Chicago. And Peyton Manning, the son of Archie Manning, is chasing one of the all-time greats who we love at CBS, Dan Marino. Looking to eclipse Marino's record of 48 touchdown passes in one season. He's got 34 now. And this is week 11. 3 touchdowns today. 3rd down 14 at the 20. Krenzel rolls out of the pocket. Looking. Throws on the run. And it's picked off. Wow.
Yeah, wow's a good adjective. And I think Jefferson.
1st down and 10 at the 33. Edgerrin James. And James gets inside the 30-yard line. Monday on CBS, it's a holiday comedy feast beginning with Still Standing. And listen up, then don't miss TV's most watched comedy, Everybody Loves Raymond. And catch Charlie Sheen's real-life wife and baby on 2.5 Men, followed by Monday's #1 show, CSI Miami, plus The Late Show with David Letterman, Monday right here on CBS. James over 100 yards rushing in the first half, 14 carries, 101. Manning, Marvin Harrison, and Harrison is down at the 21. Tackle on the play.
And you know, Gus, you can't say that the Bears didn't have their chance early. We talked about them trying to keep this game close early. We talked about the interception, the fumble that they didn't pick up, the the dropped interception, I should say, that would have been a touchdown. You just can't give the Colts that many chances. Way too many weapons, and they are relentless on offense. They'll just keep coming after you. And this Bears defense, as good as they've been this year, we're starting to get a little tired. They've been on the field an awful long time this first half.
Manning again, this time underneath Reggie Wayne, and Wayne is stopped at the 16. Lance Briggs stops him, and it's always interesting to watch Peyton Manning at the line of scrimmage.
And all the hand signals and all the audibles that he calls, and a lot of times he changes the play, and Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator, lets Peyton actually call more plays than any quarterback that we've seen for probably the last 15 or 20 years.
Manning out of the shotgun, rolls out of the pocket. He's got running room, and Manning picks up the first down. A gain of 6.
Yeah, just such a bright player.
First down and 10. Manning. And this one incomplete. Marcus Pollard, the intended receiver. Lance Briggs covering defensively. Coming up on the Nextel halftime report, join Greg, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Nextel halftime report. Second down and 10 for Manning and company. Here's the quick handoff. Edgerrin James skipping. And James gets inside the 5, down to the 2. The Colts looking for a rushing touchdown. Their last one, week 5 against Oakland. Edgerrin James, 5 rushing touchdowns this season. On third down and short. Here's Manning in the end zone. Incomplete. Reggie Wayne dropped a touchdown.
Boy, and that tough grab. You don't see Reggie Wayne drop those, especially in the end zone.
Colts send it away. Jerry Azuma back deep. And he starts from the 10. Azuma up to the 29. 20-yard return. Sapp with the tackle on special teams. First 7 possessions for Chicago.
And right now, even the punts are looking pretty good. You saw the 1 field goal, but a couple of fumbles in the INT. And you just can't lose the turnover battle against the Indianapolis Colts. And like we said, the Bears had chances early. Now, it's only halftime. I'm not going to say the game's over, but you're going to clearly have to start relying now on the pass in the second half, and Craig Krenzel, the rookie quarterback. And that is going to be a huge task to move this ball down the field.
Krenzel with time to throw over the middle. Jones with the catch, gets to the 36. 7-yard gain. Von Hutchins with the tackle as Chicago gets to the line of scrimmage. Krenzel out of the shotgun, steps up in the pocket, incomplete. Let's take a look at the headlines for the Bears. Grossman out for the year with the knee, and John Quinn was pulled. R.W. McQuarters in the defense stepping up. And then their leader on defense, Brian Urlacher, going out. Had surgery this week. Urlacher spent Monday night at Northwestern Memorial Hospital after undergoing surgery in the morning. And Krenzel on the move, slides down. Brian Urlacher suffered internal bleeding in the lower left calf area, and he may be back around December 12th when they take on Jacksonville. That's the earliest. Down and 10 at the 41. Time winding down here in the first half. Krenzel to the sideline, incomplete. Ball intended for Bobby Wade. So 13 seconds remaining.
And Gus, you know, at this point, you'd love to at least get into field goal position. Probably got to get down about the 35. You know, maybe 37, but you want to run that out route. You want to use the sideline. You got a couple timeouts left. You also could use the middle of the field. Go ahead and take that shot, that big open zone against the two deep coverage.
Krenzel under pressure, throws on the run. That ball caught. Desmond Clark is tight end with the reception. Gain of 14, makes his 11th catch on the season, and the Bears call a timeout.
And see if one of your big receivers can come down with it. And I think that's exactly what the Bears are going to do. They've got 3 wideouts down here at the bottom of the screen.
Krenzel out of the shotgun. Under pressure, fires. And it's caught inside the 10.
But I don't think there's any time left, unfortunately. But one heck of a grab.
And you're right, partner. That is the end of the first half.
Turnovers are significant, and you see the Bears only having 5 first downs. We talked about them having to chew clock and move the chains, and they just haven't been able to accomplish that thus far.
Rhodes running the football, and a flag on the play. 18-yard return for Dominic Rhodes. First down and 10 at the 29. And here's Edgerrin James running the ball, and Edgerrin gets to the 31. Hard tackle on the play, a 2-yard pickup by Hillenmeyer. Peyton Manning threw 3 touchdowns in the first half.
You know, Marcus Pollard gashing the Bears defense off a play action by Peyton Manning. Then Reggie Wayne just running right down the middle of the field. And then Marvin Harrison sitting in that zone off Peyton Manning's great look away of the safety.
Manning underneath, Dallas Clark with the catch. He gets to the 39. So many weapons as Lance brings him down. So many weapons. Third down and 1 yard to go. Edgerrin James, watch out. It's a foot race. McQuarters has the angle, and Edgerrin James is down at the 20. Edgerrin James over 100 yards rushing in the first half. He picked up 40 right there.
Well, in the short yardage play, I think a lot of the Bears are going to push inside, run blitz inside. They get washed down by the blocking of the Colts, and then it's just Edgerrin James one-on-one outside against R.W. McQuarters. And he doesn't just run out of bounds. You see that stiff arm and the spin. He gets an extra 10 yards after contact. And I'll tell you what, this Colts team is really starting to look like a Super Bowl team.
First down and 10 at the 22. Play action. Manning, Harrison with the catch inside the 10. He's down at the 8-yard line in front of McQuarters, a gain of 15. And you talked about Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach. Yes, he has certainly done a terrific job with this team.
And you know, just one of those classic offensive line coaches. Whips his guys into shape, protect 18. That's always the motto of these guys. And great group, great chemistry. They work together, both run and pass. And, you know, they don't get mentioned enough amongst the top offensive lines in the National Football League, but they're clearly right there.
Bears showing blitz. And now Manning checks out of the play. Gets it off in time. Manning, pump fake, picked off. Nathan Vasher down the sideline. And Vasher gets to the 28. Nathan Vasher, the rookie out of Texas, with his 4th interception of the season. Had a 71-yard interception return for a touchdown earlier this year against the 49ers. Welcome back, 1st and 10 for the Bears at the 28. And Chicago keeps the ball on the ground, picks up 2 yards on the play. Thomas Jones running the football. Cato June with the tackle.
I guess he's human. I guess. And Peyton Manning, of course, would love to have that last one back. You just rarely see him make a mistake. Flushed out of the pocket and just threw it outside to Reggie Wayne, and Vasher was there to step in front.
Only 7 interceptions on the season for Peyton Manning. Here's the handoff, Jones again. And Jones crosses and gets to the 33. The defense has always been great here in Chicago, but they're going to have to find a quarterback and settle on him, because there have been a number of quarterbacks to play since '98 here in Chicago.
Do you remember all those guys?
I didn't remember H. Burris. Moses Moreno I remember.
Nice. Well, and you know, I think that they had settled on Rex Grossman, and obviously injured and out for the season, and hopefully, and Craig Krenzel really potentially has a bright future ahead of him. It's just tough coming in as a rookie and running an offense in this National Football League.
Rex Grossman ruptured his ACL as Krenzel throws the incomplete pass. And Brent, they may have to get this young man out of this game. Bears have been unable to get anything going offensively this afternoon. Peyton Manning, play fake, sets up a screen to Edgerrin James with all kinds of lanes in front of him. And James dives forward and gets to the 40. So Peyton Manning got a pretty great pedigree. His father, Archie, played at Ole Miss for the Saints. His brother, Eli, is making his first start today against the Atlanta Falcons at Giant Stadium, the first overall pick. And then there's Peyton in the middle.
Yeah, you talk about pedigree. A lot of passes thrown around that those backyards.
Broken windows. First down and 10 at the 40. Here's Edgerrin James just shredding through the Chicago Bears defense to the inside the 40-yard line. Jerry Azuma brings him down. A 21-yard gain for Edgerrin James, and he's closing in on 200 yards rushing.
And guys, we've seen Edgerrin James gash the inside of the Bears defense all day, and clearly missing Brian Urlacher. It's just not the same Bear defense. And we've had young guys step up this year, and there's been some injuries, but without Urlacher in the middle, this Colts offensive line has opened up some big holes. And we've had a lot of Edgerrin James over the years, but this is as sharp as I've seen him in a long time.
First down and 10 at the 38. Manning, Reggie Wayne with the catch, and Reggie Wayne is tackled at the 26. Vasher with the tackle. But he picks up 12 yards.
And one of the things that you get here with the Colts, they clearly are a relentless offense. They aren't going to be one of those teams that's going to sit on their lead in the second half and just pound it into the middle of the line 3 times, then punt and try to chew up clock. They keep come after you.
So they're not going to give you a break.
Nope. They are going to keep throwing it, running it, mixing it up, play action, throwing deep. They are relentless.
Is that unsportsmanlike?
No. It's National Football League. Try to stop us.
First down and 10 at the 27. Bears having a hard time today. Here's Manning looking in the end zone for Wayne.
Wow.
Touchdown. Peyton Manning is now thrown 4 touchdowns in this game. His 35th touchdown pass this season comes in this game, and the Colts have a 34-3 lead. This time it's Berrien returning the football. The Colts have scored 27 straight points.
I still think have a chance to compete in their league.
First down and 10 at the 46. Play action, Krenzel. And that one almost picked off. Jason David had it, but dropped it. All right, Brent, which 4 and 5 team entering Week 11 has the best shot at making the playoffs? Arizona, Chicago, Cincinnati, the Silver Rush from Detroit, Houston, or New Orleans? Cast your vote at NFL.com. Who do you like?
What? I think those Bengals are starting to come on. Carson Palmer's starting to really get a feel for this passing game. His learning curve has been pretty significant. He's starting to really, seems to me, getting more of the flow of the offense.
Second down and 10 at the 46. Draw play. Jones gets outside and goes out of bounds at midfield. Hutchins knocking him out of bounds. That brings up third down and 6.
Yeah, and you know what? Like we said, we've talked about a lot about the Bear defense today, Gus. But you know, this Colts defense is clearly improving. Raheem Brock and Monty Ragar up front, and Josh Williams. Of course, we talk about Freeney all the time, and Robert Mathis has a ton of sacks coming into the game today. And
8 to be exact.
Yep. linebackers, Rob Morris and David Thornton, doing a heck of a job. And we've seen some significant improvement in that secondary.
Krenzel over the middle, and it's caught. Marion. First down, Chicago at the 33, an 18-yard gain.
Boy, nice toss by the rookie.
Krenzel on the day, 8 of 15, 105 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. 6 first downs for the Bears. First down and 10. Play action. Krenzel in trouble, and he's sacked. Rager, second sack of the day, third sack of the day for the Colts.
Boy, I don't know if anybody blocked Rager. He just comes unblocked. Little arm over right there. Right into the backfield, and Craig Krenzel can't do anything about that. Got to shore up that front, that offensive front for the Chicago Bears, and Craig Krenzel hadn't even set his feet yet, and Monty Rager had his arms around him.
So it's a loss of 6. Second down and 16 at the 39. Krenzel looks backside, sets up a screen to Wade. And Wade doesn't get too far. Is stopped at the 37-yard line by Robert Mathis. Being thrown down the field enough. Third down and 18. Here's Krenzel. Underneath to Jones. And he goes out of bounds on 3rd and 18. You pick up 6.
Yeah, and Gus, it really comes back to Craig Krenzel. He's a rookie. He's still trying to learn the National Football League. And, you know, the Ben Roethlisberger situation in Pittsburgh is a little bit of an anomaly. You're not going to have rookies come in and dominate. Craig Krenzel is more the norm for a rookie in this league. And you just can't all of a sudden expect your quarterback as a rookie coming off the bench during the season to run the offense. And that's why they thought Rex Grossman was the answer. They'd be throwing the ball a lot more downfield. And clearly right now on 4th down, they're going to be going for it. You have to. Never say die, but that's not the strength of this team right now. The strength is the young players on defense, and I'm sure they're going to shore up the offense this offseason.
4th down and 12 at the 35. Krenzel in trouble, has it smacked away, and the Colts recover again. Robert Mathis forcing the turnover. 4th turnover of the day.
Because Robert Mathis is amazing, and we talked to him.
First down and 10 for Indy at their own 46. Edgerrin James, who's gone over the 1,000-yard mark today, has 176 yards rushing. This is the 4th time that he's rushed for 1,000 yards in his career. His career high, 1,709 in 2000. Touchdowns aren't up, only 5, but they don't really need him to score, because they have so many big weapons on the offensive side of the football. 2nd and 7. James cuts it back, breaks a tackle, and Edgerrin James is tackled from behind at the 47 by Lance Briggs. A gain of 4. So Peyton Manning, 4 touchdown passes today. He has 4 TD passes in 4 straight games. And that also ties an NFL record set by Dan Marino. I tell you what, our boy Dan, all of his records are going down this year.
Yeah, he's taking shots, isn't he?
His single season records, they are done.
You know he's probably got his headset on in the studio every weekend going, what's going on in the Colts game? A lot of Peyton Manning touchdown passes there, Big Dan.
3rd and 3 underneath. Clark with the first down. And he gets to the Chicago 39, gain of 8. And one of your former teammates is also in trouble. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. Best single-season quarterback rating, Peyton Manning, 122.7.
It's funny because I called Steve Young this week to talk about it, because that's the all-time record. And you see Culpepper's over that, too, at this point. And he said, you know what? I actually thought that record was untouchable. He said that to have somebody to break it, they'd have to have such a phenomenal arm and a set of weapons and understand how important it is to not throw interceptions. And I said, well, you just described Peyton Manning. And he said, yeah, I guess you're right.
Your roommate with the 49ers Here's James skipping through the hole. Gets to the 30. 8-yard pickup. Edgerrin James with 189 yards rushing on 21 carries.
And Gus, we heard Dan at halftime say that Peyton Manning's been playing the quarterback position as well as anybody's ever played it. And you start thinking about this guy's rank in history. He's 28 years old. He seemed like he was 28 the day we met him his rookie year.
Certainly did.
But he's so mature. He's so gracious. It's such a unique perspective to see a superstar like that treat people the way that he does.
2nd down and 1. Edgerrin again. And you're absolutely right, partner. Peyton Manning, not to, as you said earlier, oversell it.
Yeah.
But Peyton Manning is such a classy young man and such a professional. He is truly one of the good guys to cover because he's always prepared. He's always sharp. And as media, he always gives you at least a little bit of what you need by being open and honest about the game plan. 1st and 10 at the 26. Here's Manning again to the sideline. Marvin Harrison with the grab, gets out of bounds at the 11. R.W. McQuarters throws him out of bounds after a gain of 16.
I'll tell you. And you know, we've been talking about Peyton Manning, Gus, and you know, he's going to go down as one of the greats to ever play this game. And you see Marvin Harrison run on the out route right here. If Peyton Manning can get a couple Super Bowl rings, he's going to have to clearly be considered one of the best to ever play, if not the best. By the time it's all said and done, the records that he'll have, the opportunities in the pass game, the yards, the touchdowns. And like I said, he just needs a couple of rings to probably get to that next level, and he wants it badly.
Meanwhile, Edgerrin James running hard, and James scores a touchdown.
There you go. You know what they call that?
What?
A Dan Marino happy moment. Earlier in the show, they had a few chances. You know, if you could have kept the crowd into it, the Briggs potential interception for a touchdown, it could have changed this whole day, but clearly at this point, it's gotten way out of reach.
Berrien down the sideline, and Berrien crosses the 40, gets close to the 45. Don't forget, David Letterman, Monday. Dave's all new with Stupid Pet Tricks, plus Colin Farrell. And later this week, don't miss an all-new Thanksgiving late show with a visit from Dave's mom. First down and 10 at the 44. Draw play, and it's Thomas Jones running the football. He gets to midfield, a gain of 6. Brings up 2nd down and 4. Time running down in the 3rd quarter as the Bears offense approaches the line of scrimmage. John Quinn was warming up on the sideline for Chicago, but they're going to continue to go with Krenzel. Well, partner, rough day today for the Chicago Bears, but truly one of the great franchises in NFL history.
Yeah, and I still think the second half of the season we're going to still see a lot of positive things from this club. I really like what Lovie Smith has done. Jerry Angelo in the draft, they've got a lot of young players, aggressive, great speed, intense, and this is going to be a ball club to be reckoned with over the next couple years.
So the Bears pick up a first down, 5-yard gain by Thomas Jones. Fans, tell you what, for a blowout game, there aren't that many empty seats here at Soldier Field as we take a look at how well the draft picks have done this year, Brent.
Yeah, and we see Nathan Basher step up and have some big plays, and clearly Tommy Harris inside got to be considered for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And you have a lot of guys like that can play and make an impact for you.
Incomplete, ball out of bounds, flag on the play. Terrell is the intended receiver.
One of the big plays today for the Bears.
First down and goal at the 8. Let's see if Chicago can get this one into the end zone. Jones, and he'll lose 2 yards. Dropped at the 10. Raheem Brock, first man to him.
And you got to be impressed with, and I know the Bears offense hasn't been operating at a hugely efficient level this year, but you got to be impressed with the defensive front seven for the Indianapolis Colts this year. Much improved versus the run. And it was actually my preseason pick, the Indianapolis Colts, to go to the Super Bowl from the AFC. And so, you don't want to root. We're supposed to be objective, but my pick's looking good, partner.
Yeah. It's all about me.
That's exactly right.
There's no I in team or we either.
When it's 41-3, it's all about me.
As Leon says all the time, gain of 3.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You got to be impressed with both defenses, really. And let's watch the blocking out here. Boy, nice little crackback block outside.
As Jones gets back to the 7-yard line. The Indianapolis defense ranked 31st in the NFL, 19th against the run, 31st against the pass.
All that stuff's on yards, and we'll talk about that after this play, but I hate the way that they do the offensive and defensive rankings.
Here's Krenzel, steps up in the pocket, wants to run it, throws, and it's caught. Terrell, but a flag on the play.
Yeah, that's going to be holding.
Or was he past the line of scrimmage?
No, he wasn't yet at the time of the hold.
Mark Colombo, who was recently activated on November 8th after sitting out with a knee injury, called for the penalty.
And you were talking about the Colts defense ranked 31st, but that's just about yards. And when you have an offense that is pouring it on teams, then all of a sudden the opposing team that you're playing is going to be lighten it up in yardage, and you just want to keep big plays in front of you. Teams are going to be throwing the ball, and so all of a sudden those yards start piling up. They got to find a better way of analyzing the top offenses and the top defenses in the league, because just yards is a horrible statistic.
Krenzel in the end zone, picked off. Heading out of the game for the first time this season. Rhodes running the ball with some success. He gets to the 21. A gain of 7. Odom with the tackle. So Dominic.
When a big block outside, and you don't want to say a big block at this point, but a nice block by Marvin Harrison, who's still in the game, and a guy that, has had to share the spotlight a little bit this year, but still working hard. And when a wide receiver in the fourth quarter with the stature of Marvin Harrison is sticking his nose in the middle and getting a big block, that says a lot about that ball player.
Rhodes again, and Rhodes over the left side now gets to the 30. And don't forget, coming up on the Subway postgame show, join Greg, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Subway postgame show.
You think Dan's happy that Peyton's out?
At least for right now, but I think Dan understands that before this year is over, Peyton Manning is going to either surpass him or get awfully close. Manning on the bench.
I'd say that's a good assessment. I think one of those things is going to happen. I think he's going to end up blowing it away.
Do you really?
Yeah, I think he ends up with 50.
Here's Rhodes. Flag on the play. After a 14-yard pickup. First down and 10 at the 49. Sorgi hands it off to Rhodes, and Rhodes with more running room. And we usually have an opportunity to talk to the star players before the game.
Setting you up there.
Second down and 9 at the 48. Under 10 minutes to go. Here's Rhodes. Make that James Mungro in the game now to run the ball. Gains 5. Tony Dungy, so successful in Tampa, and slowly but surely you're starting to see, Brent, in the shadow of this great offense, the changes that are taking place on this defense and how Tony is getting his kind of player into the system to run his system.
Yeah, and you know what? Both Lovie Smith and Tony Dungy run the same style of defense, that Tampa too. And both of them talked about players having to buy in. And it's really interesting, and we'll get to it here in just a second.
Once again, Mungro running the ball. Everybody getting a little playing time now for the Colts. Todd Johnson stands them up. We'll talk about that Tampa 2 defense, which both the Bears and the Colts run.
Yeah, well, obviously the 2 part is the cover 2, and clearly you have to have some physical corners and safeties that are aggressive yet don't overcommit to the run. But the front 7, everybody's responsible for a gap. And one of the things that they teach you is you've got to win with leverage on the side that you're supposed to be on. So you've got to plug that gap. Well, one of the things that you're taught as a player, as a defensive player growing up is, hey, you're going to spin out, or you're going to, if you see the ball carrier going in the gap next to you, you're going to try to come across the face of the offensive lineman. You're going to try to make the play. That's how all these guys played. They were superstars at the different levels.
And this time it's Rhodes breaking it back. And he gets to the 18. Go ahead, finish your story, though.
Well, and one of the things that you're just not used to doing is trusting the fact that I'm going to be in my gap, and it's actually okay for the ball carrier to run by you on the other side in somebody else's gap. You've got to maintain your gap, though, because the minute you move out, the ball carrier can cut back, or guys can get sealed off from the offensive lineman, and all of a sudden, all heck breaks loose. And so Coach Smith, Coach Dungy, they talked to us about it. You've got to actually have trust in your teammates. You got to have faith in the system, and you got to buy in. When you have young players, it goes against the grain of everything that they're ever taught. But both of these teams are really starting to come along in that area on the defensive side of the ball.
First down and 10 at the 18. Jim Sorgi in the game for Peyton Manning. He's thrown 4 touchdowns. This time it's Rhodes, and Rhodes doesn't go very far, loses 2 on the play. Odom with the tackle. So the remaining schedule for the Indianapolis Colts, who will improve to 7-3. They're at Detroit next week on Thanksgiving, then home to play Tennessee, at Houston, Baltimore, which will be a big game, San Diego, Denver. Big games there.
You know, they're going to be primed for the playoff position because they are clearly ending up with 3 top teams, 3 playoff looking teams at this point.
Second down and 12 at the 20. Mungro in the backfield. They give it to him, and Mungro hit immediately by Tank Johnson. How about the Chicago Bears and their remaining schedule? At Dallas on Thanksgiving, Minnesota, division opponent, at Jacksonville, Houston, Detroit, and Green Bay.
You know, they actually have a chance. The Bears, you know, those are a couple winnable games there. They could actually get on a little bit of a roll, and maybe, you know, maybe 9-7 ends up winning that division. You never know. The Vikings have been struggling as of late. Packers up and down. Bears finishing up with the Packers. You never know. They could still have a chance here down the stretch. Got to get a little bit more offensive flow going, that's for sure.
Rhodes running it outside. 5:34 to play in the 4th quarter. Jerry Azuma with the tackle. So Peyton Manning sits or stands on the sideline. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Should have had 5 touchdowns. Reggie Wayne dropped 1 in the end zone. But Reggie has 2 touchdowns on the day anyway. 4th down and 11. Tony Dungy showing some sportsmanship here, not kicking the field goal, electing to run the football. And the Colts will turn it over on downs, hoping that Chicago can get something going on offense. 41-3 the score, 1st and 10. Adrian Peterson in the game at tailback now, and a flag on the play on CBS.
You know what we need? We need to enter that, me and you. We'd be fighting after like 30 seconds.
Exactly.
We should have a celebrity.
I see enough of you twice a week. Pass over the middle, and it's incomplete. Desmond Clark, the intended receiver.
We could take on Nance and Sims and smoke them.
Craig Krenzel, a molecular genetics major at Ohio State. He's from Sterling Heights, Michigan. Played at Ohio State, now playing for the Bears. And he led Ohio State to a national championship, 5th-round pick. Very bright young man, academic All-America. His older brother Brian right now in medical school at Louisville, played at Duke. And they run the football, Peterson again, but he is a rookie and taking on a very hot football team. But we were talking about the Bears, Brent, and their offensive scheme and how it's not Krenzel's fault. But do you think Terry Shea needs to make some adjustments to work towards some of their strengths? David Terrell, Justin Gage are guys that can get down the field, make some big plays. Do you want to maybe make some adjustments to see if you can get them the ball?
Well, you know what, Gus, coming in today's game, Bears have won 3 in a row, and they've been winning it on defense. And so I think Terry Shea's been smart in not taking too many chances offensively. Clearly today was a different game. You're going against the high-powered best offense in the National Football League. But it's tough because it's a little bit of chicken and egg, because, yeah, you'd like to utilize those receivers that you mentioned down the field, but your offensive line's been a little inconsistent pass blocking, and you've got a rookie quarterback that's still learning the NFL. I mean, it's just not that great of a situation. So your best opportunities to win games is have the defense keep you in the game, run the ball, and don't turn it over. And I think that's been the recipe for success, and I think Lovie Smith knows that as well. And so I know there's been some heat on Terry Shea, but at this point, you know, the Bears don't have a backup quarterback that can step in and really run this offense as far as the passing game is concerned.
That ball incomplete, intended for McKee. This Thursday on a special Thanksgiving Day edition of the NFL Today, join Greg, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer. The Detroit Lions honor Barry Sanders in pregame ceremonies. Marcus Allen will visit the Lions Hall of Famer as Barry speaks to the troops in Fort Hood, Texas. That's all coming up at noon Eastern Time on Thanksgiving here on CBS. Terry Shea, former head coach at Rutgers University. Bill Walsh, disciple, was with him in Palo Alto at Stanford. Here's Peterson running the ball again, high stepping out of bounds as he picks up 13.
You know, when we talked about the building blocks of this Bears team, it's still a very young team. They've done very well in the draft. They still have a lot to be excited about. And like we've mentioned, the Colts have made a lot of teams look bad this year. And so they just have to bounce back next week, come back and start playing with that confidence that they had during that last 3-game winning streak. And I'll tell you, they're going to win some games down the stretch.
Chicago passing underneath. Terrell with the very nice catch as he goes to the ground and scoops it up.
And Craig Krenzel actually had time to stand in the pocket and step into the throw on the deep over route to David Terrell, and actually looked nice. And so much importance to give your quarterback time, and see him sitting in there and throwing it into that open hole in the window, low where only your receiver can get it. Nice toss by the rook.
As you take a look at the quarterback comparison, 2:20 to play. Handoff, Peterson. And he's wrestled down at the 35. And that should take us to the 2-minute warning. 2nd and 9 for the Bears at the 35. And Chicago sets up a screen. Peterson catches it with blockers. Peterson inside the 20, breaking tackles, still running, and he goes out of bounds at the 5. Don't forget, tonight on CBS's most watched network. Chicago has it at the 5-yard line.
What a great effort by Adrian Peterson. Getting his blockers out in front of him, cutting back, running over people.
Picked up 30 yards. Stopped the clock at 150. Empty backfield. Krenzel rolling out. Better hurry. Flag on the play. And he's taken out of bounds at the 4. One bad area for the Colts today. 10 penalties, 92 yards. First down and goal at the 2. Play action. Krenzel rolling. He's got room. Throws. Touchdown. Lyman. Dustin Lyman with his first touchdown reception of the season.
And we've got to give some credit to Craig Krenzel. Nice play action fake. Gus, watch how long he sticks with it. Holds the ball out, tucks it. Clearly Lyman getting open. Had some linebackers sucking up for that play fake. Nice job by the rookie quarterback.
And the extra point is up and good. 1:37 to play in the 4th quarter. 41-10. Marcus Pollard with a touchdown today. First of the day, and that's it. Peyton Manning now will head into the locker room, get cleaned up, and prepare to watch his brother Eli as he makes his first start as the quarterback of the New York Football Giants, taking on Michael Vick and the Atlanta Falcons. For Brent Jones, this is Gus Johnson saying so long. 41-10, the final. You've been watching the National Football League on CBS Sports. All right.